It seems like over time, many people got really busy and they started to move away from family fun. But now that families are spending more time together, they understand the importance of bonding and family fun. But what do you actually do during that time? I got it. Families of all different sizes and all different ages all love to play a good board game. So today I'm going to give you my top 10 board games for families. Hey fun people, welcome back to Everything Aja. If you're new here, hey, I'm Aja. Here on Everything Aja, we live life the fun way. Hey! And I help families bridge the gap between fun and education. So join a community dedicated to shaping the future by liking, subscribing, and clicking the bell. Growing up as a child, my grandmother would always make me sit down at the kitchen table and play some games. As a child, I just thought I was playing games. But as an adult, I realized I was doing much more than that. Playing games not only just brings people together, I also learned simple things such as the sequencing of numbers, how to add and subtract, and more importantly, I learned how to problem solve. And let's not forget laughter. So today I'm going to help your family develop all of that and more by giving you 10 really fun board games for families. My first board game is probably one of my overall family's favorite game, and it is called Sequence. The objective of Sequence is to be the first person or first team to get 5 in a row, just like in bingo. Now you can play this game with 3 players or 3 teams. That means you can have up to 12 people. Depending on how many people and teams are actually playing the game, that depends if you have to get Sequence, which is 5 in a row, 1 time or 2 times. Now Sequence comes with its own deck of cards. In this special deck of Sequence cards, you have 2-eye jacks, which are wild spaces, and 1-eye jacks that can be used to remove another player's chip. There are actually 8 jacks in the game, 4 2-eye jacks and 4 1-eye jacks. In addition to these wild jacks, in the 4 corners of the board, you also have wild spaces. Depending on the amount of people playing, determines how many cards you get in your hand during the game. During your turn, you will simply put down a card from your hand, making it a discard pile, and then put a chip on that space. Once you put a chip down on the board, you will simply draw 1 more card. This way you can keep the same number of cards in your hand. If someone forgets this step, they cannot go back and draw later. If you snooze, you lose, so make sure you remember. Once a team or player gets 5 in a row, once or twice, they simply yell, Sequence! Now our next game is an oldie but goodie, but we're not playing that old version. We're playing the new and approved Monopoly. Did you know Monopoly keeps updating the game? Instead of money, you get your very own ATM card. Yup, you heard me. I don't know if that helped or hurt kids learning how to add and subtract, but Monopoly took the money out and you get an ATM card. Now the setup is still the same. You'll have all your event cards placed down in one pile, and then you will assign one person to be the banker. Now instead of having all the money as a banker, you simply have your very own ATM machine, and you also get all the deeds to the property. The object of the game is to be the wealthiest player when the first player goes bankrupt. Here's the other really cool thing about the new Monopoly. You know in the old Monopoly you had to get all the spaces of one color in order to start building houses? Well, that's no longer needed. You can actually start building on houses on one property even if you don't own all the other properties. Because as soon as you buy a property, it automatically comes with one house on it. Why didn't they just think about this before? Now of course, the more you upgrade houses, the more money you'll make, okay? Here's the other crazy thing about this new and improved Monopoly. If you forget your rent value when somebody lands on your property, the machine does it for you. It's almost like they took the thinking out of Monopoly. Then there are also event and location cards that will help you during the game. Of course, the gameplay is still the same. If you roll doubles, you get to go again. Getting used to the banking unit is probably the biggest difference in playing the new Monopoly, and it makes the game a lot shorter. Now, I can tell you, playing Monopoly when I was a kid used to last days. But now with this new banking system, you can play Monopoly and it doesn't get old. Make sure you check out the Amazon links below in the description so that when you find a game that is perfect for your family, you can go ahead and purchase it today. Our next game is Pictionary, and not the old Pictionary. We are doing Pictionary Air. Most of us have smart TVs or TVs that allow you to plug up your iPad or iPhone or even AirDrop whatever's on your phone to the screen, and you'll need that in order to play Pictionary Air. You'll go ahead and buy the Pictionary Air game and download the Pictionary Air app. Once the game is displayed on the screen, you'll divide everybody into 2 teams. Now you'll still need access to the iPhone or iPad that you're using in order to play the game, because during a player's turn, they will grab a card that will tell them exactly what to draw in exactly what order. Now the fun part of Pictionary Air is you can actually interact with the drawing.
Money? Dollar bill? Bank? Oh, I'm so confused. What?
If you're not broke, you're
Rich?
There you go. You will need to set up the iPhone or iPad where it can visually see the person that is drawing in the air. Of course, the object of this game is to be the team that gets the most points. During each team's turn, one person will actually be sitting beside the iPad, and they will simply press the button each time the team guesses correctly. And you don't even have to keep up with points because the app will automatically do that for you. Now I will tell you, I will allow the first round to just be a practice round. That way each person gets used to using the pen and drawing in the air. That way when it's time to really do it for real, you have your game face on. Our next board game is Clue. Yes, Clue! Y'all, in high school I used to make people come over and play Clue all the time. Clue was probably literally my favorite game. In Clue, it's each man for himself, so you can only play with a maximum of 6 people. So there was a murder. And your job as a detective is to find out who the murderer is, what the weapon was, and where did the murder occur. You see how this game develops problem solving? At the beginning of a game, you will have one person divide up all the cards into people, places, and things. The things are the murder objects. Then you will secretly choose a person, place, or thing and put those cards in an envelope. That way the top secret information is secured. And then you will shuffle those cards and divide them out amongst all the players playing. In some of the locations, there are secret passages to other rooms. That way you don't have to waste a lot of time going across the board. But you can't use the secret passage until your next turn. Now, in order to guess where the murder occurred, you have to go to the designated room in which you are about to guess. So that means during your turn, you're going to have to roll the dice and then you can go that many spaces. You can't go diagonal, you can only go vertical or horizontally. You can only go in an open door of a room, but you can go out an open or a closed door. Once you enter a room, of course, that's the place that you're about to guess. And then you simply guess a person and a murder object. Alright, I'm in the hall. I want to guess Miss Peacock with the revolver in the hallway. Then going clockwise, if the person to your left has any of the cards that you just asked, they only have to show you one card. So even if they have 3 cards, they have to be strategic and only showing you one card. Now if you're silly enough to guess that same card the next time, then they can be smart enough to show you the same card and you just wasted a guess. If the person to your left doesn't have any of the cards that you just guessed, then it goes to the next person. And then if they have one of those cards, then they have to secretly show you that card. And the game will continue to play out going clockwise. Thank you, sir. Now, he doesn't have to show it to him. He only has to show the card to me. Once the player thinks they know the person, place, and the murder object, they can use their next turn to guess aloud. Then they will secretly take the envelope, look at the cards, and see if they were correct. If they were correct, they'll yell, "Yay! I won! I'm the best detective there is."
I'm taking my guess.
I mean, because I figured out Miss Peacock in the hall.
I'm right.
Oh, dang. I figured out Peacock in the hallway, so I just didn't have the weapon yet. Mommy. But if they weren't correct, then they will put the cards back in the envelope and they will remove themselves from the game, spreading out all their cards amongst all the players continuing playing the game. And then the game will play out until one person successfully guesses the 3 cards in the envelope. Our next game is probably one of my favorite party games to play with my friends, but it is Taboo. Yes, did you know Taboo is actually a board game? In Taboo, you will divide up everybody into 2 teams. So you can have winners and losers, or Team A and Team B. You know, if I'm on your team, then you're on the winning team, okay? Now, I've already showed you how to play Taboo in this video online, but right now we're talking about playing Taboo in person. During Taboo, each person on the team has a turn order. One person from each team stands up in the middle of the room. They will be given a deck of cards and also a buzzer. You will also assign 2 people, anybody out there, to be the timekeeper and also the scorekeeper. The timekeeper does just that, they keep up with the time. And the scorekeeper does just that, they keep up with the score. The overall object of the game is to be the team with the most points. You get those points by guessing the card correctly that person has in their hand. However, they can't say any of the words or any parts of the words on that card, and they can't say things such as starts with an A or rhymes with B. Yeah, that's cheating. Once a team member guesses any of the words on the card, then they can freely say that word after that. Now, in order to get a point for guessing a card correctly, a person on that team has to say the top word on the card completely. All right, not a thesaurus, but
Oh, dictionary.
Yep. All right. A lot of men like this in their basement. Now, the point of having a player from the opposite team standing up with that player is so that they get to monitor that person. So if a person says any of the words on the card, then they get to use the buzzer and they say, you said that word. Now, if that person wants to pass that card, then a point will also be given to the opposite team. So it's really beneficial that you're paying attention.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so it is not a fruit, but a
vegetable.
All right, so it's a vegetable, not red, but
green.
Green, good. So it's a green vegetable that kids absolutely hate.
Spinach.
Keep going.
Broccoli.
2 words. In all the movies, the old time movies, people used to make their kids get this.
Sweet pea.
No, come on, man.
Can you give me one of the words? Is there any way you can give me one of the words?
Pass. And then the game will continue to rotate players until every person has had 1 turn or even 2 turns.
The guy who made the commercial Dry Eyes, what's the first word he used to say? For your eyes.
Lubricate?
No. Okay,
Let me answer this question real
okay,
quick.
when the water is super, when you in Florida and the water is super,
Humid?
no, the water,
Wet.
when you look down in the water, is wet.
Clear?
Yes.
Now, the ending point of the game varies based on how you want to play. You can have the first team to 30. I simply like doing rounds, and I will say everybody gets to go 2 rounds, and whichever team has the most points at the end of 2 rounds wins. Some people like to have a point factor in which they have to reach, but I like the rounds. That way everybody gets to go the same amount of turns. And believe me, this game gets really loud and violent, especially if you're playing with some of my friends. Yeah, y'all. I hope you heard that. Now, I also have the adult version of Taboo called Midnight Taboo, and it's played the exact same. I will include the link below in the description. Our next game is Jenga, and this game requires a lot of concentration. With Jenga, you're going to simply use the pieces to stack up one big tower. Now, you're going to stack up the pieces perpendicular to one another. So you're gonna have 3 pieces horizontally, then 3 pieces vertically. 3 pieces horizontally, then 3 pieces vertically. Until you have all the pieces in one straight tower. Then on your turn, you will have to slowly pick out a piece and put that piece on the top of the Jenga tower. Now you can't pull any pieces off the top 3 full complete rows. That means you at least have to do the 4th row all the way down. The object of this game is to not be the loser. And the loser is the person who makes the tower fall. Oh no! Alright.
Speed run.
Dang. So you don't want to be that person. Our next game is the 5-second rule. This game comes with a really cool spiral timer that serves as the 5-second timer. You can play this game each man for himself, or you can even do teams. During your turn, you will simply choose a card and flip over the timer. And then it'll say things such as name 3 things you can paint. And within 5 seconds, you have to name 3 things you can paint. If you can't name all 3 things you can paint, then you don't get that point. Name 3 tasty things.
Pizza, cereal, chips.
Good job. If you can't beat the 5-second timer and name 3 things you can paint, you don't get a point. And then the next person gets to go using the same card. So it's like they get to steal the card from you and still get their own official turn. Now you have pass on and switch cards that help the game go along, but beware of danger zones. And of course, the winner of this game is to be the first one to reach the finish line. Now, I also have the adult version of 5-second rule, and this game does not come with an actual board. So the object of this game is to be the first person to get the most points after you have done so many rounds. Our next really fun family game is called Buzzword. And for Buzzword, once again, you'll divide everybody into 2 teams. The object of this game is to be the first team to get 50 points. And then you yell, Buzzword! The game comes with a dry erase board that you can use to keep up with points. This game is like an addictive brain game and is really good for abstract thinkers. Let me know down below in the comments, are you an abstract thinker? Like you can think outside the box? Now, unlike Taboo and Buzzword, you don't have the freedom to use your own words. But on your turn, you are given a card of 10 phrases that you want to get your team to guess. However, you could only use the words on the card given to you to get your team to guess that phrase, and you have to go in sequential order from 1 to 10. If a team can't guess a phrase, they have to say pass, and then you can go to the next number. But you can't go back to a previous phrase until you have gone through all 10 phrases on the card. At the top of each card is a buzzword, such as apple. You say that buzzword before you even start your timer. So I will say, okay, you guys, the buzzword is apple. That means in each one of the phrases that I'm trying to get them to guess, the word apple would be in that phrase. So when I start off and I say the object of my affection, that's the only thing I can say. I can't use gestures. I can't add any more words to that. I can only say the object of my affection. And hopefully one person will say the apple of my eye. Now you're also given cards numbered 1 through 10, and these are just used because one person during the gameplay will have all 10 cards in order, and then as the team gets the cards correct or passes them, they will kind of make 2 different piles, and that way if you still have time, once you have gone through all 10 of them, they can tell you exactly which questions you have to go back to that your team did not guess. And remember, the first team to 50 wins.
Wait, say the buzzword.
Okay, so the buzzword is ball. Ready? Go. On top of spaghetti.
Meatball.
Meatballs.
Okay. A swinging demolition device.
You talking about wrecking ball.
There you go. Inflatable sand toy.
Beach ball.
There you
That's
go.
easy. The buzzword is under. Go. Money transactions illegally avoiding taxation.
Undercover.
Bankrupt. He said
The buzzword is
Under the table.
There you go.
Yeah, under the table.
Number 2, finish just in time.
Our next family board game is Yahtzee. Yahtzee comes with 5 6-sided dice, that's a regular dice, y'all, and also a game sheet. This game is played in 13 rounds. The object of this game is to be the person that has the most points after the 13 rounds. You will use the score sheet to strategically decide how you want to play these rounds. So during your turn, you will roll all 5 dice, and then you will determine which dice you want to keep and which dice you want to roll again. During your turn, you can use your problem-solving skills to roll the dice up to 3 times. At the end of your 3 rolls, you have to use the number that is shown on the dice. Now, if you have 3 3s or 3 2s, you now have to make a decision. At the top of the scorecard, you are giving numbers 1 through 6. Depending on how many dice you have of that number, you can go ahead and score your dice at the top using the numbers. Or you can look at the bottom of the scorecard and you can score those dice using things such as 4 of a kind, 3 of a kind, full house, or even Yahtzee. And Yahtzee is when you get all 5 dice to roll the same number. Of course, that's the goal here. You get the most amount of points if you score Yahtzee. In the lower section, you also have a space called chance, and that is just kind of your free-for-all. When you didn't get any of the things above, you can go ahead and score that under chance. ultimately a player is going to want to get 63 points in the upper section so that they can receive a bonus of 35 points. If a player gets to score Yahtzee, they not only get their 50 points for scoring Yahtzee, but they also receive a 100-point bonus.
Normally, hold on.
Oh dang!
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll it. That's crazy.
I wanna go for it. Hold on.
Dang!
What?
At the end, you will total up the upper section, the lower section, and then you will total up both sections to give you a grand total, and the person with the most points wins. Don't forget, I have included all the links to all these games down below in the description, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you're a member of the community by liking, subscribing, and clicking the bell, because next week I will be giving you 5 additional board games for kids. And if you haven't already, check out my Fun and Games playlist. I will include the playlist along with the links to all of these board games down below in the description. Alright, so our next game is Seen It. Yes, you heard it, Seen It. And I have 3 versions of this game. I have the Disney Seen It, Nickelodeon Seen It, and Movie Seen It. So it's fair to say that Seen It is also one of my favorite games. In Seen It, you can play each man for himself up to 4 players, or you can play using teams. You are giving 2 dice. One dice that has numbers, another dice that has beautiful pictures on it. Now the object of this game is to be the first player or team to reach the winner circle and win the game. Now I must tell you before I even go into the instructions, for Seen It you must have access to a DVD player, or you can simply just use your laptop. You will put the DVD in the DVD player or laptop and then press New Game. Now, the cool thing about this game is it already comes with a digital version of all the instructions, and everybody could just sit there and listen to the instructions, or you can show them this video and I will do it for you. You will make sure that each player has a quick category reference guide. This way, when they roll the dice with all the pretty pictures on them, they know exactly what the pictures mean, such as all play or my play or even an action card. The trivia card questions are really self-explanatory. If a player rolls a trivia card question, then another player can pull a card, then they have to say the question that is correlated with the exact picture that they just rolled. Kenny, yours is, what Disney Pixar animated movie has the tagline, "See It"? S-E-A. Generally, the 3 categories on the trivia card: take 3, culture, and song slogans and phrases. Now, of course, your favorite things you're gonna run a roll are your all play and my play. My play gives the player who rolled the dice a clip, and they have to pay attention to every detail shown on the clip, because at the end of the clip, there will be a question, and then you have to say if they got the question correct or if they got the question incorrect. If they rolled an all play, then everybody, no matter what team they're on, has a fair chance to answer that question and steal that point. Oh, Jasmine!
Snow White.
I said it
Snow
first.
White.
I said it
It's
first.
Jasmine.
I said it
that's
first.
Snow White.
Jasmine.
See, look, Jasmine, bang! I had
Alright,
it.
I was wrong.
I did it. Who said it first?
Me.
I thought I did.
I said
I'm
Jasmine.
going again.
What?
And there's also buzzwords. Buzzwords kind of work such as event cards on Monopoly, but you have the buzzwords just sitting on the board. And if you roll a buzzword, you pick up the buzzword. Now, some buzzwords are good and some buzzwords are bad. You never know. If you get a buzzword, you do exactly what it tells you to do, and then your turn is over. You've got a friend in the genie. He granted you 3 wishes. Move forward 2 spaces, move a challenger back 1 space, and take another turn. Alright, I'm going
I ain't
one.
never seen that card.
Now, with the exception of the buzzword, the cool thing about Seen It is no matter what you get, a trivia card or my play or all play, if you get the question correct, you always get to go again and roll both dice, and you get a whole nother turn until you can't go anymore. Now, once you get to the winner circle, you will first stop at the stop sign and play the all play to win on the screen. Everybody will be trying to stop you or stop your team answering that question so that you don't win the game. If you get that question correct, you win. If you don't get that question right, then you move out of the circle of the winner circle. This winner circle is called Final Cut. And then on your next turn, you will then click winner circle and it plays just like the all play to win, only this time you will go 3, 2, 1 and you'll have to get all 3 questions correct. Just follow directions on the screen. It'll literally walk you through it. There's also a player's choice, and that simply means the player that rolled that dice gets to choose anything at all that they want to do. And then if you fold the board together, then you get to play a quicker version by just simply going around in one circle. And remember, the object of this game is to be the first one to finish the final cut or win the all play to win, and then that team wins. What is your go-to board game that your family really enjoys? Let me know down below in the comments what your family's favorite board game is. And don't forget to click the links down below in the description so that you can order any of the board games that I mentioned today. Like, subscribe, and click the bell so that next week you can be in this great community shaping the future by learning 5 additional board games for kids.
Where are the cards?
You tell us.
Score more doing it under 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I remember that.
Number 3, to make a lower offer.
Underbid.
There you go. Number 4, a college student who has yet to receive a degree.
Undergrad.
Yep. Number 5, having placed your signature at the bottom of a document. Nope. There you go. Undersigned. Number 6, children in the way.